an athletic activity that requires physical prowess or skill and usually a competitive nature. This is the definition for sports according to dictionary.com. Have you ever just poured your heart and soul into something? Blood, sweat, and tears? Sports require a ton of time, effort, and dedication. And this is no different with cheerleading. Cheerleading should be considered a sport because it is highly competitive as well as physically demanding while being accompanied by rules and regulations. First of all, cheerleading involves an abundant amount of physical capability as well as coordination. There is stunting, tumbling, jumps, and so many other aspects. Cheerleading is a team sport. So say with stunting, there are multiple people, usually 2 to 4 people in a stunt group, and each one has an individual role, and they all work together to make the stunt work. And then with tumbling, if you are tumbling with one other person or multiple, it takes a lot of practice to get the timing together, so everybody looks like they're in unison. One thing with cheerleading is it requires a ton of stamina. So you can kind of think of it like CrossFit. There are multiple exercises being done back to back. It is extremely important while cheerleaders are doing the skills that they use proper technique. Without proper technique, it causes a high risk for injury. The NCCSIR did a study that showed that 70.5% of female catastrophic injuries were from collegiate cheerleading. So cheerleading is a physical feat in itself. Moving on from the physical aspect, there are also many fine details. So cheerleaders usually practice every single day, and some of those days can be 6 to even 8 hours, especially with learning choreography and the fine-tuning of routines. There's also a very extensive rubric that needs to be followed. If certain elements are left out, that can lead to deductions or even disqualifications. That can also happen if legalities are not followed. So say you're catching a flyer and her head falls below waist level, or a base in a stunt has an incorrect grip. If these rules are not followed, then there are deductions and disqualifications. Many people think that cheerleading is just yelling and shaking pom-poms. And while that is an aspect of it, especially for sideline cheer like cheerleaders for football or basketball, that is only a very small part of the cheer world. So competition cheer is very intense and demanding. As you've heard, there is a plethora of variables that go into cheerleading. Competitive cheerleading is one of the most physical and mentally demanding sports. The cheerleaders push through injuries, they endure hours of practice, and have 2 minutes and 30 seconds to show off all of their hard work with a smile on their face. This is why cheerleading should be respected and considered a sport.